All right, let's get started. Hopefully everyone that was going to join has joined. Others might join as we go along. We'll try to catch them up if we need to, but let's just go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody. As I said before, this is Mylio's Getting Started webinar part 1. We're going to talk about installing Mylio Photos and adding media. I am JC Figueroa. I'm the customer success lead for Mylio Photos. That means I manage the support team and I help along with all the educational and training materials and a bunch of other stuff that you guys don't want to hear about because it's boring. I'm also an underwater photographer. It's one of my passions. I love going underwater, taking photos and sharing that part of the world with others. I've been a photo organization, education, and media technology professional for many, many years. I won't tell you how many because then you'll know how old I am. Joining me today is Lori. Lori Rubin is a product evangelist for Mylio, and she's an amazing professional photographer and a photo educator. Thanks, Lori. Lori will be helping us answer questions. So about that, a couple of housekeeping things. There's a chat feature on Zoom. There's also a Q&A feature on Zoom. So if you look, there's a little Q&A icon in the Zoom toolbar. If you don't see it, look under the More menu there, and you might see it there. But that is the best place to ask questions because it helps us keep track of what we answer and what we haven't answered. You can try to chat with us in the chat feature, but things might get lost. If you use the Q&A, it's much easier for us to catch it. Lori will be answering questions as we go along. She'll also capture questions that we can answer live, either throughout the session or at the end of the session where we have saved some time specifically for Q&A. So we'll be doing that. There's also a replay of the webinar. So, if I'm going too fast, which sometimes I tend to do, and you miss something, the webinar is being recorded and only my screens and my video is being recorded. We're not recording you, so don't worry about that. But the session is being recorded and you can watch a replay by going to community.mylio.com and under the Getting Started Webinars topic on the left side of the screen, you'll see all the webinars and you can click on them and watch the replay. You can watch this one and you can watch other webinars we've done. So that is a good way to kind of go back, watch things at your own speed. All right, so let's get started. Let's first talk about what is Mylio Photos and how it can help you. What are the core features and advantages of the application and who can benefit from using Mylio Photos? And to do that, I'm going to switch computers here for a second. I'm going to stop sharing from this machine and I'm going to switch to my personal computer and I'm going to show you my personal photo library. And I do this because it's real photos from real life and you get a chance to see the Mylio application being used in a real environment. Okay, so now you can see my actual Mylio library. And like I said, these are real photos from real life. That's my real granddaughter there on 2003. She was just born 12 days ago. I'm down here in Florida visiting and enjoying that. There's my daughter getting married last year in 2022 and 2021, the first time I got to visit my mom after the pandemic. So we took a picture. I surprised her for her birthday. So what you're seeing here is what we call the Mylio Life Calendar. And the Mylio Life Calendar is super powerful. It's one of the many views you have in Mylio. And that's what Mylio Photos is about. It's a way to take all of the photos from everywhere you have photos from that you take with your phone, photos that you've taken with, perhaps your digital cameras before phones were so good at taking photos. Photos from your past, maybe printed photos or negatives that you scan and you put into the application, photos from social media or from other sources. You aggregate all of those photos from your life, you put them into one cohesive library, and the Mylio Photos helps you organize and maintain that library, and it helps you easily find photos in a variety of ways. Right now, we're looking at photos based on when a photo was taken, and that's what this view is all about. So this is called the calendar view or the life calendar. And here I'm looking at photos based on decades. So I can start scrolling through and I can see the photos as they were taken in many different years. Mylio is picking some of the best photos for every year and is making that the representative photo for that year. And as you can see, I can go back here in time. I'm going back not only to the years where my daughter was born here. Looks like the screen's a little slow to catch up. Lori, are you seeing the screen catch up?
Yeah, it is a little bit slow, a little bit of a lag, but it's
Okay.
there.
So here in 1995, you can see, photos of my daughter being born and then photos of her as a toddler. And now she's a mom. But also photos of me in college and in high school. I can scroll back and see photos from when I was a little kid. And then finally, if I scroll far back enough, I can see photos of my parents, way before I existed, photos of my family and important family memories that I want to preserve, like my dad getting awards in the military, or the only photo I have of my grandma because she died way before I was born. So these are all important memories. And with Mylio Photos, you can not only represent those photos in this live calendar, but we have a lot of tools that help you take some of these older photos, some of these family legacy photos, and correct the dates on them, maybe touch up the colors on them, and put other important metadata information. We can even help you link those memories to different family databases that you can gather that information and post it to Family Search, for example. We're partnered with Family Search, and that's one of the ways in which you can share that metadata that you use Mylio to enter to enter for the specific photos. So this is the calendar view, and if I go down, scroll down here to the bottom to more recent times, and I click, for example, in 2018 here. Once I go into a year, I can see all the months of that year. And I can see any photo that was taken on any month. And if I go to a particular month, like say May, then I can see all the photos that were taken during the month of May for any day for which photos were taken. I'm going to have a visual representation of those photos. Then I can go, for example, to May 4th here, and I can see all the photos that were taken on that day. And then I can click on a particular photo. And if I select the information button here on the upper right corner of the screen, then I can start getting information about that photo. I can click here on info and I can see that this photo was taken with an iPhone, the date that it was taken. I could correct the date if it was incorrect. This one is not. And I can see all kinds of information like who's in the photo, where the photo was taken, the specific coordinates. I can even have Mylio show me what's in this photo. For example, if I open the smart tags here, it tells me, oh, there's a mountain in this photo and there's a person and the photo was properly exposed and you can see the sky and the person is smiling. These are all things that Mylio is using machine learning and AI technology to analyze the image and put these tags in the photos automatically so that you can use any of these tags to find photos in a very quick way. And I will show you a little bit more of that in a second. So that is the calendar view. Another neat thing about the calendar view is that you can see events. If I go back all the way here to the top, you'll see all this colorful little dots with different locations in them. These are called events. And in Mylio, an event represents a group of photos that was significant for some reason. So I can go here to this RV road trip in 2015. It's a road trip that I took with my son and daughter. We rented an RV. And if I click on that, all the photos that we took during that trip are going to come up and be presented automatically. So it's another way of finding special events. So birthdays or different parties or vacations that you take, all of those things can be represented in the calendar view. So calendar view is just one way in which Mylio automatically organizes your photo and helps you find them more easily. But we don't always remember when a photo was taken, or a photo might not always have the correct date. So we have other views. One of my favorites is the map view. The map view helps you see where you've been and where you've taken photos. So it helps you find photos based not on when a photo was taken, but where a photo was taken. And here you can see that as I scroll through this map, I can see photos from all over the world that were taken in different locations. I can also zoom into a particular area. So I live in Seattle, so obviously I have a lot more photos from that area. And I can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and see exactly where a photo was taken at any one time. And the more I zoom in, the more detail I get about a photo. Here I have a bunch of photos that were taken during a hike. And if I zoom in enough, and the screen will catch up here in a second, you can see that not only can I see the contour of the terrain that I was hiking in and everything else, but you can even see the trail that I was following. So as I was going through the trail and hiking, I can see where the different photos were taken. So this is what the map view is. And with Mylio, not only do you have the advantage of seeing photos in a map of where they were taken, but if you have a lot of photos, like for example, scan photos, photos that were not taken with a phone, right? When you take a photo with your phone, it adds that GPS data to the photo automatically. But photos, older photos that were taken with cameras or scanned photos, they're not going to have that data. You can use Mylio to add that data to the photos by simply finding a location in the map, grabbing a bunch of photos, and you drop and drag those photos to that location. So really easy to have a way to add that geotag data to your photos, which is incredibly helpful. All right, that is the map view. Another favorite of mine is the people view. And people helps you find photos based on who is in the photo. So just like the map view helps you find photos based on where the photo was taken, and the calendar view helps you find photos based on when a photo was taken, using facial recognition, Mylio can help aggregate all the important people in your life into these particular containers, and each container has all the photos of a person that's important in your life. So here's different people that I care for and love. If I scroll down, I'm going to scroll down and go all the way down to my daughter's bucket of photos. I'm going to find the letter N here. There's Madeline, that's my daughter. And when I open that photo, I'm going to see every photo that I've ever taken of my daughter, Madeline. So the photos are right now set in order. I'm going to change the sorting order from descending to ascending. So instead of starting with the newest photos, I'm going to start with my oldest photos. So I can go here back in time and very easily see photos of my daughter as a baby, and then kind of see her grow up. And in just one view, I can easily see my daughter growing up again. And it is such a rewarding experience, right? So all the photos are aggregated for me automatically in one container. Now, I didn't have to go through all the photos and tag every single photo with the name of my daughter. I did it a handful of times, and then the software learns that name and starts finding more and more photos of my daughter. So the newest photos, if I go all the way down here to the bottom to the most recent photos, you're going to see photos of her as she became a mom. And those photos Mylio has found automatically. Notice that Mylio already added a lot of these photos to the person container for Madeline, but it's asking me to confirm. It's giving me the opportunity to say, yes, I got it right. This is indeed Madeline. And you can very easily, using something called batch mode, tag hundreds of photos and confirm them all with one click. So you don't have to go and click every single one of these. But it's a great way to find photos of your loved ones and to tag those photos. And again, that metadata can then be shared with other systems and other applications. All right, so that is the people view. We have a few more views, including the albums view, which is pretty self-explanatory. This is what I call the what. When you find photos that are important to you and you have aggregated them for whatever reason, like, photos of turtles or photos of Lucy, which is my granddaughter, or any other photos, I can create a special album for that. And not only can I create an album in Mylio Photos, if I'm using Mylio Photos Plus, which is our subscription-based service, with one click of a button here, I can go ahead and publish an entire album of photos and have that presented as a web gallery. And then I can take that link and send it to loved ones. And that gallery is not accessible. Google doesn't index it. You can't search for it. You have to have the link to find it. So only the people that you give the link to can access and see those photos. So it is a great way to share your photos. And it's one of the many ways you have in Mylio to share your photos. Now, last but not least is a folder view. And the folder view is just that. It's a representation of where your photos are in your storage devices. So whatever folder your photos live in today, you can add that folder to Mylio. Mylio will respect that folder. Or you can create new folders and have those photos organized accordingly. Here you see the Apple Photos folder is the folder for my Apple devices. So photos that I take with my iPad or with my iPhone are automatically organized into these folders, and I know where to go find them very, very easily. So that is another important view, on one that I personally spend a lot of time in, but it has a lot of functionality. Now, there's one view that I skip and I save for last intentionally, and that is what we call the All Photos view. All Photos is just that. If I click on that view, it's going to show me every single photo in my library. So as you can see up here on the upper right corner, I have about 46,000 photos in my library. Now, I could scroll through all these photos to try to find the photo that I want, but that can be really slow. And that's kind of something that we spend a lot of time doing, right? Where we scroll and scroll and scroll, and we try to find the photo we're looking for, but we never find it. Well, Mylio has something called quick filters. And quick filters is a very easy way for you to find any photo very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and open the interface for quick filters here. And what quick filters allow me to do is it allows me to filter my library to only show certain photos. So say I have added ratings or labels, color labels to my photos. I can say, only show me the photos that I rated 4 and 5 stars. So I can go here and say, show me my 4 and 5-star rated photos. And Mylio is quickly going to narrow down this library and show me only the photos that are rated 4 and 5 stars. And there's 5 stars. And I can combine these filters. So I can say, okay, show me my 4 and 5-star photos, but only the photos that I've categorized as being my underwater photos. So if I go down here by category and I click underwater and I pin that filter, now Mylio is showing me all the photos that I have that are 4 and 5 stars that are underwater. I can remove the stars and see all my underwater photos, for example, right? And then Mylio is going to adjust accordingly. I can even try to find things that I may or may not have. Let's say that I want to find photos of cats. Well, I'm going to clear my filters here, and I can say to Mylio, okay, show me every photo of cats that I have. So I can just type the word cats here in the quick filter area. And Mylio gives me a few different options, right? Category, Catherine. But the one I'm looking for is specifically the smart tag for a cat, for an animal. So I can say, okay, show me cat photos. And when I add that particular filter, this smart tag for cat, it shows me all the photos for which there's a cat in the photo. And my wife sends me a lot of photos of the cats, so I knew a lot of them were going to come up. You can combine these filters in many, many ways. You can even combine filters. So if I wanted to see every photo of a cat that was taken with a phone that wasn't an Apple phone, right? So if I want to see photos that were not sent by my wife because she took them with an Apple phone, I can say Apple, and then I can go here to the filter and I say exclude any cat photo that was taken with an Apple phone, but then show me all the cat photos that remain. And now I can see these are photos that were taken with other cameras. And if I click on any one of these photos here, like this photo scooter right here, I can see that that was taken with a Nikon camera instead of an Apple phone. So lots of ways to combine hundreds of filters into very specialized ways of finding the photos in your library. And it's all at your fingertips. It all happens as you import your photos. This is part of the work that Mylio does. So that is a quick overview of Mylio Photos. Very, very quickly though, I want you to know that what you do on your computer also gets synchronized to your other devices when you're using the Mylio Photos Plus subscription plan. If I go here to the dashboard and I show you my devices, you'll notice that if I click here on devices, I have a lot of devices that are associated with my account, and all of them have the entirety of my library. So everything that I do in Mylio gets recreated to all my devices, and more importantly, it gets protected to different storage mechanisms so that I never lose a photo again. So my iPad, my iPhone, my laptop, my Surface tablet, my Windows laptop, and my main computer all have the exact same library of photos. And I can do any of the things that I show you today and many, many more on any one of those devices. So I can take my iPad, go sit outside in the hammock and start tagging faces or editing some photos, or perhaps moving photos to certain albums or color correcting them, or perhaps adding GPS information to them, or simply just sit there and look at my photos because looking at photos is fun. So that is what Mylio Photos does. Now I'm going to switch back to the main computer and I'm going to show you how to install it and how to start adding photos to your library. Now that you've seen how Mylio Photos works when you have a full library, we're going to start now with an empty library and show you that process. So I'm going to share the screen from this computer and we're going to talk about installing Mylio Photos. And rather than just sit here and give you the step-by-step installation of the different platforms, I'm going to show you where you can find this information so that you can follow along with the steps instead of trying to remember what I'm telling you. So the first thing I would recommend is that you go to the Mylio manual. I'm going to go here to our manual, and that is at manual.mylio.com. There is a step-by-step guide on installing Mylio Photos. And the first thing that I recommend you do before you try is to check the minimum system requirements for installing Mylio. If you go to the Install Mylio Photos page, Install Mylio Photos on a computer, there's a page for installing Mylio Photos on a tablet. And if you go to either one of those, you'll see the minimum system requirements depending on the operating system. So for Windows systems, it gives you all the, I'm sorry, I was going to show you the requirements. They're down here at the bottom. They moved them. One second. This is what's great about our manual. You can just type a word and it takes you exactly to where the requirements are. Here we go. So for Windows computer, you have to be running Windows 10 or higher, or including Windows 11. And there's a specific version of Windows 10 that is supported only 64 bits. And this is what we recommend as the minimum requirements in terms of the hardware. Then the requirements for Android, macOS, and iOS are all listed. So make sure that your device meets these requirements and that is running a version of the operating system that is going to actually be able to run the application properly. And then you can follow the step-by-step directions, whether you're on Windows or whether you're on macOS, and same with a smartphone or tablet. You can also go to the main Mylio page, mylio.com, and here under the Learn menu, there's a Getting Started section. If you go there, we have a quick start guide that you can download as a PDF. So, you know, if you're like me, you like to read the directions on a piece of paper, you can print that out and follow step by step. There's also videos that show you exactly what you need to do. Anything from installing on a computer or a mobile device to importing media and doing other things, which we're going to be covering next. So that is how you get the application installed. And it's really very easy. You just go to mylio.com, you click the download button, and you double click on the file that you get. In the case of a Mac, you drag it into the applications folder. In the case of a PC, you double click on the installer, follow the screen prompts, and then the application is installed. And then what happens is you're going to launch the application, and it's going to look just like this. The first time you launch Mylio, it's going to look just like this. Now, Mylio is both an application, an app that runs on your devices, but it's also a service. So in order to use Mylio, you have to create an account. That account, if you haven't created the account, the first time you run Mylio, it'll ask you for an email, and it'll create the account for you. If you've already created the account on our website, and you just use the same email address. So I'm going to click here on Let's Go. It asks me for my email. So I'm just going to put my email here and click Continue. And what Mylio is going to do is it's going to send me an email to that email address. And I can, if I had access to my email in this computer, I could just click on the email and it would log the application in for me. If I don't, I can just open the email on any device. Like I'm opening it on my phone now. I'm going to the email that Mylio sent me. And you'll see that there is, you can't really see it, but there's a code there. So I can just take that code and type it and click Continue, and that would log that device into my account. Now, you only have to do this once. Once you've logged in, the process is automatic and you don't have to keep doing this every single time. So it's really very easy to just log in once, let the application get authorized with our servers, and then you don't have to do it again. And the login process is the same for any device, whether it's a phone, a tablet, Windows, or Mac. So there, Mylio is completing the setup process. And the first thing that's going to happen is that as soon as Mylio has completed the process, we'll start the importing process. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do. If you just want to try Mylio out, you could add what we call the sample library. So here we have the welcome screen, and here I can just click Start Adding Photos and Videos. I can go ahead and start adding photos. If I don't want to add photos immediately, I can click I'm done adding media for now. And from the help menu, you can add our sample library. As soon as I get out of this mode, it'll let me do that. So if you just want to see how the application works without putting your photos into it, download that sample library and you'll be able to see a library similar to the one I showed you during the demo a little bit ago, where things have already been, places had already been tagged, there's some albums created, you can see all the organization already done. Or just go ahead and start adding your photos, and it's really, really easy. You can just follow the guided import steps. This is what this screen is. So if your photos are in the pictures folder of your computer, you can simply click add the pictures folder. So in this case, I don't have any photos in the pictures folder on this computer. It's a brand new account, so there's nothing there. There's nothing in the movies folder, but I could just with one button add those folders, and Mylio would catalog the media in there. It wouldn't move those photos. They'll stay exactly where they are. Now I can add photos from Apple Photos. So if you are on a Mac computer and you want to add your Apple Photos library, you just click Add Apple Photos. Mylio takes you through the step of selecting your library. So whatever your whatever your Apple Photos system library is, whatever you designated as your Apple Photos system library is what will appear here. So when I click this button and click Select, that library would get imported. If you have multiple Apple Photos library, or perhaps you have an all like iPhoto or Aperture library, you can click here where it says Other Library and navigate to where that library lives. and click open and add that library instead. So let's go ahead and add this Apple Photos library. I'm going to click select and copy, and those photos are going to start coming in right away. Now, while that's going, I can go ahead and add other photos. I can add photos from an Android phone or tablet. I can add photos from my Facebook or Instagram or Flickr accounts. And those, again, are really easy. Just click on it. Mylio is going to ask you for your account information. You enter it, click next, enter your password, click next. And then you'll be given a screen where you can see which albums you want to add or not add. I didn't actually connect, so it's not showing me any albums. I don't remember what my Flickr account is, but it's just that easy. Now, the last two are really important because are probably the ones that you're going to use the most. And these are the ones that I really want to demonstrate today. One is choosing an existing folder to add photos from. And the other one is important photos from a memory card from a camera, for example. So I'm going to show you how I do both of those. Now, my Apple Photos import is already going. I'm going to also select a folder. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to choose a folder. I have a hard drive connected called source. And in there, I have a bunch of photos. So I'm just going to go here to the sample library, and I'm going to select that folder, and I'm going to say open it. Before I do that, I want to show you that inside that folder, there's other folders, right? Mylio is going to respect that folder structure. So any folder that you bring into Mylio, Mylio will see the folder structure that you've already created, and it will respect and preserve that structure. So if you've already taken the time to organize your photos into different folders and you want to preserve that structure, you can do so. Mylio is not going to disrupt that in any way. So I'm going to select that folder. I'm going to click open. And then Mylio is going to give me three options on how I can bring these photos in. I can link those photos. If I link them, Mylio is not going to make another copy of the files. It's just going to leave the files where they are. In this case, they're on an external drive called source. And that drive will always have to be connected when I want to use those photos with Mylio, if I were to link them. Or I can copy them. If I copy them, they'll go to my Mylio Photos system folder, which is in my primary computer's hard drive, or I can move them somewhere else. Now, if your computer doesn't have a lot of storage, but you want to consolidate your photos into one external storage device, you can do that too. And I'll show you that in just a bit. But for now, I'm just going to say, let's copy these files, right? So I'm going to say copy them. Mylio asked me where I want to put them inside my, I have my Mylio pictures folder, which is my main folder, and that's fine with me. Otherwise, I could click here and create another folder. By the way, look, it's importing my Apple Photos as we're doing all of this. And there's different options here, like exclude suspected duplicates. So if you want to make sure that the photos you're importing are not duplicates of photos that are already in your library, you can tell Mylio, hey, if something looks like a duplicate, don't import it again. So I'm just going to say copy now, and that will be imported. And then I'm going to go ahead and also import from a memory card. So what I'm going to do is I have a memory card here for my camera. I'm going to click choose memory card. It says no SD card detected. So I'm going to insert that SD card on the card reader on my camera, on my computer. And there it is. I click on it. I hit select. And again, Mylio asked me where I want to put it. So let's create a new folder here inside the Mylio Pictures folder. Notice the sample library is being imported there. But I'm going to create a new folder next to the sample library, and I'm going to call it from camera, create. And now I have that folder selected. And again, I'm going to tell it not to bring any duplicates. I'm going to say copy now. And now I'm importing from three sources. I'm going to say I'm done adding media for now. And what I'll see is that Mylio is starting to bring all of that media. If I click the activity panel here on the upper right corner, where it says activities, it shows me still importing Apple Photos. It's importing Untitled, which is from that memory card that didn't have a name. And if I click on the little bell, that's our notifications. And there is saying, hey, I already added 895 files from the sample library. So those have already been added. Is, the other notification is giving me is that it didn't do anything with Flickr because I never gave it the password, so it couldn't. So now if I go to any one of my views, you'll start seeing that photos are already starting to be added to this library. If I go to my folder view, I'm going to see all the folders of photos that I added. Inside the Mylio Pictures folder, there is a sample library folder, and it tells me that there's 448 files in 91 subfolders. So if I click that, I see the folder structure that I saw on my hard drive before. If you remember, when I was selecting that drive, I'm going to open up the macOS Finder here and go to that drive. And if I open that sample library, notice that there's these subfolders there. Mylio has preserved those subfolders. And there's a lot that Mylio is doing right now. It's not only importing all the photos, but it's going to start doing things like scanning for faces and trying to smart tag or find in the image, find all the pictures of cats or mountains or people smiling or people with their eyes closed or whatever the case might be. It's also going to create previews and thumbnails or optimize images of my photos so that if I want to have my entire library also visible on my phone, instead of Mylio putting the original files that are very, very, very big, it's going to put an optimized version of my files on my phone. They take very little space, but they look great. And I can still browse and use my library on my phone without filling it up. So that is the import process. It's just that easy. And as you can tell, photos are coming in. I can go here into my all photos view, and there's photos of Lucy and Mama and Dada coming in. That's what was on the camera memory card. There's other photos that came in from my Apple Photos library. And if I show you the information, there's already over 8,000 photos in that library, and it continues to grow as the import process keeps happening. And from here, I can just start working with Mylio in whatever way I want. Even if there's already photos that were already tagged with different people, those tags are going to come in and photos from those people are going to be visible. Mylio is still importing these photos, but it already has the metadata. That's what the little flower icon means. It means it's still importing and generating the thumbnails for those images. So that process can all be checked and monitored here in the activities panel. If you ever want to go and add media again, it's really super easy. You just click this little button here that says add media. And in there, you can decide whether you want to add media accessible from this device. So, something that is connected to the computer. Add media from an online service like Facebook, Instagram, Google Photos, or Flickr. Add an Apple Photos library. Or if you want that nice panel of guided import again, you just click guided import and you get that panel again. So you can easily go back and add photos in batches. You don't have to do it all at once. And as a matter of fact, I recommend you don't do it all at once. You start with a small grouping and then keep adding and adding and adding. Now I want to show you one more thing and then we're going to switch over to questions. I promise to tell you that if you wanted to consolidate all your photos into an external drive because your computer didn't have enough space, it was very easy to do so, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to the dashboard and devices. And this is an old version of my computer. I use this account for demos all the time, so this wouldn't happen to you. Let me just clean that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a device. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an external drive. So I'm going to click on external drive. Mylio shows me all the drives that are attached to my computer. I can choose the one I want. In this case, I want the Seagate drive. And I'm going to hit continue. Mylio is going to look at the size of my library, look at the size of that drive, and recommend how that drive is set up. And in this case, it's doing exactly what I want, which is designating that drive as a vault. And a device designated an a vault in Mylio means that is a device that's going to store all of your photos in their original resolution. So it's going to have the full size, full resolution images, as well as the Mylio catalog and the thumbnails and the optimized images. It just saves everything. So if I were to lose all my devices, but I still had this external drive that's designated as a vault, I can recreate my entire Mylio library just from that one device. I can buy a new phone, buy a new computer, etc., and recreate everything again. So I'm just going to say looks good. Mylio adds that drive as part of my Mylio account. And to use multiple devices and have them synchronize with each other, that does require the Mylio Photos Plus plan. So keep that in mind. Mylio Photos is just the basic application that's free. You can use it on one device at a time. You can connect your phone and you can connect your computer, but they're not going to see each other and they're not going to synchronize. If you have the Mylio Photos Plus subscription plan, then the devices synchronize with each other. And you get a lot of other nice features, like the ability to do the share albums as a web gallery, the ability to not only synchronize, but protect your photos to multiple storage devices. You get our photo deduplication feature, which will find duplicates of your photos and allow you to mark the ones you want to keep and which ones you want to delete. Lots of nice features in Mylio Photos Plus. You can go to mylio.com, and in there's a comparison table that shows you what you get with the free version of the product versus the Mylio Photos Plus plan. All right, so notice what's happening now is that Mylio is putting all of those photos in my Seagate drive. And I can tell Mylio that for my computer to be a space saver, that is the default setting. So now instead of all those files being saved to the internal drive of my computer, Mylio is only going to save the optimized images, the ones that don't take very much room, in the internal drive, so that I can still see my full library, even if the external drive is not connected. But the full size originals are being saved in my external drive, thus creating a consolidated library that's protected. And what I recommend is that you add multiple vaults. And a vault can be an external drive. It can be a cloud service like Google Drive or OneDrive or any S3 compatible cloud service. Mylio itself is not a cloud service, but you can add other cloud services as devices to replicate your photo library onto for safekeeping. So, all right, let's take the next 10 minutes for questions. Lori, what do we have?
Great. Okay, well, Steve has a couple questions. The first one is he would like to see you show how to set up your travel drive.
Oh, sure. So setting up the travel drive is very similar to what I just did. You click Add, and you click External Drive, and then I'm gonna select this source drive, for example, and hit Continue. So Mylio by default is saying, oh, you could use this drive as a vault, but I don't want to use it as a vault because that drive is only 500 megabytes, and I know that my library is going to be bigger than that, and I just want a drive that I can travel with that is only going to save the originals for the last 3 months. So if I click here on Custom Setup, Travel Backup is one of the options. And you can click on any one of these options and it explains exactly what it does, right? Like Photos Only, for example, will keep full-size copies of your photos, but not videos or documents. Or if you want just your highest rated photos to be saved in a particular drive, you can do that too. Travel Backup is really great because it just saves the last 3 months worth of full-size originals to that drive. So if I click Looks Good, it'll go ahead and add that drive, and it will still sync my entire library, but it only put photos that are less than 3 months old in that drive as full-size originals. And notice that the numbers are going to change. If I go here to my sync panel, which is really the best place to see your sync status, the devices panel shows you what's happening, but the sync panel really gives you a lot of detail as to what each drive is saving. So what you'll notice over time here, and again, Mylio is doing a lot of things right now. So a lot of activity going on, but the number of originals that are going to be saved to that drive is much smaller than the number of originals that are going to be saved to the Seagate drive. Seagate drive is saving everything, but this source drive, which is my travel, set up as my travel drive, is only going to save 230 photos because those are the ones that are from the last 3 months. I hope that answers your question, Stephen.
Great. Okay, his other question is, can you review how to add a folder to Mylio?
A folder, yes. So in order to add a folder to Mylio, you have to add it inside the Mylio Pictures folder or another existing folder. So if I open up Mylio Pictures here, I can, in the info panel, or actually on the left, on the right side panel, there's this little icon for add folders. So if I click on that, I can add Steven's folder right there. Create. Now, the reason this folder has to be inside the Mylio Pictures folder is because folders at the top level represent folders that are linked from other devices. So like if I linked a folder instead of copying photos, that folder will show up here. So if I went here and said add media accessible from this device, and I chose this folder in my source drive called more photos, and I click open and I click link, notice that it doesn't give me a destination because I'm only linking the folder. I'm telling Mylio, don't copy the files, just keep them where they are, but make this part of the Mylio catalog. So when I click link, that folder will be added here to the folder view in just a second. And it's telling me that it's associated with a drive called source. So the top level of the Mylio folder view represents your catalog. And Mylio is going to tell you whether the photos are part of your library, like Apple Photos or Mylio Pictures, or whether the photos are coming from a different source, in this case, a hard drive called source. So hope that helps.
Great. And then we have 2 people that are wanting to reset their Mylio account. They actually want to kind of reset, start over again.
Yeah, that's that happens actually, because sometimes you start using the software, and one of the great things about Mylio is that it can be configured in many different ways. So sometimes you start doing things, you start learning how the device or how the product really works, and then you realize that you didn't really want to link those folders. Maybe you wanted to add a drive and then have all the photos copied to that drive. So resetting and starting over is something that people tend to do quite often. My recommendation is that you go to the Mylio manual, and if you search for start over, there is an article called How to Start Over with Mylio Photos. And in that article, you'll see step-by-step instructions on how to do it. But I will show you really quickly how to do it. Let's say that I wanted to start over in this account. I would go to my devices section. I would unregister all my devices one at a time. So let's start here with that travel drive that I just set up. I would select it, scroll down to the bottom of its card and click unregister device. And Mylio gives me a warning that the photos on that device have not been saved to other devices. And I know that because it's still going. But because I'm starting over, it's not a problem. So I'm going to say, okay. It wants me to confirm. We always make sure that you don't do something you don't want to do. So we ask for confirmation a lot. And then that device is going to be unregistered. Then I'll proceed to do that with all devices, and I'll leave my computer as the last device. When I unregister the last device, Mylio is going to say, do you want to factory reset your device? And I say, yes. And then when I do that and I restart Mylio, it's going to come back up with that screen that said, let's go, which is starting fresh. Now, there's going to be some folders that are left behind. And that article in our manual explains what those folders are and what you should do about them. So definitely look at the manual, type start over, and find that information there.
Great.
What else do we have?
I think that's it for now.
That's it. All right.
Yeah, good job.
Well,
All right.
let me tell everybody where they can get more information so they can answer their own questions. We have a lot of online resources. In the app, there's a help menu. So if you go here to Mylio Photos and either click the help menu on the top or go to this little bar here, you'll see the help menu right there. There's lots and lots of things here. Quick Start Training is going to open up a website and take you to the Getting Started page that I already showed you. You can also join our community. Our community, again, if you click on it, it'll take you to our community. You can join the community if you want, but you don't have to. You can just click the Explore button. And when you do so, it'll let you access all kinds of educational material, like the recording of this webinar, right? You can see here that we have this live webinar going on, but you can see previous recordings of other webinars. We have this thing called coffee breaks, which are kind of smaller, more personal webinars where there's a lot of question and answer. This past Tuesday, we did one on a new feature in Mylio called Share Spaces, or Spaces. So here's that recording of that webinar. One of the best resources we have in here is our courses. And you can go and click on the Mylio Photos Fundamental course. And this is a 76 videos, 5-hour long class. You don't have to sit and watch all 5 hours of it, don't worry. But you can go to specific sections and see exactly how to do different things. So if you want to learn more about guided import, you can click on that video. And when you do so, I think Angela, who's one of our, it's Angela. She'll show you guided import just like I did today. Or you can go to specific areas. Like if you want to learn how to fix a dark image, you can click on that and see a video on specifically that. The videos vary in length from anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes. So they're all kind of easily digestible. You can, of course, watch the video course from beginning to end, but you can also jump to the specific areas that you want. So that's another resource that you have. Of course, we talked about the how-to guide, which is the manual. So manual.mylio.com, but you can access that right from the app by clicking how-to guide. It will open that manual. And the frequently asked questions will take you to our website, to the FAQ. And last but not least, there's the Contact Mylio support. If you're having a technical issue or you're trying to troubleshoot something and you can't find the information elsewhere, you can go to Contact Mylio support, and this will open up a web form where you can enter your question and request help. When you notice that when you start this from the application, it'll put your email address. It'll also send us logs from your system. When I click that help Contact Mylio support, there's information that is sent to us, and you can decide what information gets sent, whether you want to include your catalog. Sometimes if we need more information, we'll ask you to change some of the settings. But that really can help us diagnose and troubleshoot your problem. So it's the best way to contact us is from that menu. In our main website, if you go to mylio.com, you can also access our chat. And depending on the time of day, our chat is being responded to by real people. Like I can click here and type a message and I can say, hello. And an actual person will answer in just under 10 minutes. If there is no one working, you can put in your email and then somebody will get back to you. So yet another way to get help and access our team. All right, I think I cover everything. Oh, there's one more, there's the forum. The forum is a place where you can talk to other Mylio users. So in that case, it's not Mylio staff answering your question, but it's other people from all over the world that are using Mylio. And it's actually a really useful place to visit because there's a lot of friendly folks that have been using Mylio for a long time and they like to share this information. So perhaps you become a Mylio expert and you want to hang out on the forum and help other people with their questions. This is the place to do it, forum.mylio.com. So again, as you can see, lots of resources for educational content. All right, and that is it. That's all we have for today. I hope that was helpful for everybody. We are right at the top of the hour. So thank you for joining us. Part 2 is next week. And we'll be talking about, what are we talking about next week?
Let's
Lori?
see here. Let me grab it. I kind of we have 4 coming up, and let me see here. Getting started. Okay, so next week it's on Thursday. It's getting started. Part 2. Find photos fast in Mylio Photos. And the week after that, we'll be getting organized with Mylio Photos, and then on the 30th, we'll be using spaces in Mylio Photos, and JC will be your presenter for all of those. So it's really well worth joining us for those. That'll be great.
So if you enjoy me presenting, come back. If you didn't like me presenting, go and watch Angela or Rich or Lori or some of the other recorded webinars. But this month, you get me.
Yay.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much.